Hello, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus placements. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Jen with Timeline Tarot, and this is your prediction for the second half of 2026. It is a general collective reading, so as the messages come through today, take what fits, leave what doesn't, because if it's not your message, it simply means it is meant for someone else to hear. And please check your other placements, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus. And if you're not sure what those placements are, in the description box of this video is a link where you can obtain your free birth chart. So my Aquarius family, most of you know my person and I are both Aquarius risings. So I'm proud to be a part of the Aquarius family. Before we get into tarot, my friend, we're going to take a look at some astrology homework that I did for you. And that'll give you a better idea of what this reading is about, but also what you can expect in the second half of 2026. So this cycle begins with a new moon in Cancer on July 14th, 2026. It'll culminate with a super full moon in Cancer on December 23rd, 2026. And this will directly target your solar sixth house of work, daily routines, wellness, and self-care. Because Cancer rules your solar sixth house, this specific window is less about grand public-facing shifts and more about you transforming your day-to-day existence, emotional health, and your physical well-being. The cycle begins with the new moon in Cancer on July 14th. And for you, this is a prompt to hit the reset button on your work-life balance and your health habits. If you're not currently employed, it would just be a balance in your connections where you have any type of contract. So it could be with your landlord or your mortgage company, etc. There's a little bit of a retrograde twist here for you, and that is because this new moon is arriving in the middle of a Mercury retrograde in Cancer. It is best for you to not start a brand new job or project on I was going to say January, on July 14th. If I said January previously, I apologize. On July 14th. And you shouldn't buy any complex health equipment on that day either. So if you can put off starting the new job for another week or buying any complex health equipment or maybe even getting a gym membership, if you can kind of wait a week, that would be more beneficial to you. Instead, use the retrograde period. Instead of buying something new or starting something new, use the period instead to reevaluate an old workout routine that you sort of put on the back burner earlier in the year. Like maybe you got a gym membership for New Year's, as a lot of people do with their New Year's resolutions, but then as the year progressed, you kind of fizzled out and stopped going to the gym. That may be something that you want to revisit. If you are currently employed, you may want to fix an ongoing workplace communication issue, and the same holds true with any individual that you have a contract with. Again, mortgage company, a realtor that you're working with, your landlord, etc. There's also an important thing here for you to return to a daily self-care practice that you abandoned earlier in the year. So maybe earlier in the year, you said, I'm going to walk a mile a day, and you stopped doing it. Or I'm going to quit smoking, and you stopped doing it. Or I'm going to reduce my salt intake, and you kind of stopped doing it. This is the opportune time for you to go back and look at those again and say, do I want to start them up again? The answer is most likely yes, because you're sort of being led by the universe, you're receiving that intuitive hit or that intuitive nudge that it's time for you to start taking care of your health and your body better than you have been. And the focus of doing all this, or the purpose, I should say, of doing all of this is because the nodes are shifting, and Leo, as well as you, will be heavily impacted. So right after we have that new moon in Cancer on July 14th, the nodes of destiny, if you will be changing. So there is a major astrological shift occurring on July 16th when the nodes change and they're moving into Aquarius and Leo. So for you, this puts your personal identity and relationship access under a cosmic microscope for the next 18 months. So the reason why you're, supposed to use this 6-month period to make sure your connections are balanced, you have a healthy work-life balance, that you're taking care of your physical self, that you're tending to your emotional needs, is because the node moving into your sign will require you to make some major personal evolutionary changes in your life over the course of the next 18 months. And it's important that you are in the best emotional and physical health that you can be prior to that really kicking off in January for you. So the culmination point occurs on December 23rd with the super full moon in Cancer. Any work project or a health journey or a lifestyle change that you start in July or August, you're going to see some really great results from it. This lunation will force you to confront how your stress levels are manifesting in your physical body. And you'll be urged to purge bad habits, toxic daily environments, or people-pleasing tendencies at work that compromise your peace of mind. So if you've made the shift, you'll end up seeing, you'll reap a reward. You'll be like, wow, I physically look better. I feel better. You know, I've made great progress at work because I'm learning how to communicate my needs instead of being a people-pleasing Aquarius. So you'll find yourself having more peace of mind in December. If you haven't made that shift, if you didn't make that change, the universe will create some type of tower moment in December to get you to go like, hey, you need to take care of this issue at work, or you don't really have a balanced work-life, you know, a routine here, or that thing that you were supposed to quit in January that I sort of reminded you to quit in July and August and you didn't, it's time to quit it. So again, if you're not taking care of yourself physically when it comes to controlling stress levels, work-life balance, and getting back to taking care of your body, it's possible that a tower moment occurs in December that sort of forces you to look at that and make the radical changes that you need to make. I also wanted to see how this will be affecting your relationships. So this Cancer lunar cycle operates entirely in your 6th house of daily labor, service, and routines. And because of this, it impacts your relationships, not through grand dramatic gestures, but through the micro dynamics of daily life, how you show up for others, how you share burdens, and how you manage stress. So this means not taking on the bulk load of work at work anymore. So again, you need a healthier work-life balance for those of you who are employed. So I broke this up into 3 different sections for you. So in respect to your professional relationships, and again, even if you're not employed, the people that you have any type of contract with, this applies to them as well. The 6th house rules the workplace. So any professional relationships that you have in your life, or again, contractual agreements, will be heavily impacted during this cycle. Now, you are a fixed sign, and that often takes on the intellectual heavy lifting for groups. So you may find yourself at work doing more of the heavy lifting, or if there's a project, everyone comes to your brilliant mind to find the solution or to create the plan. And the cycle, or this lunar cycle, will force you to stop doing that. It will force you to stop over-functioning for your slacking coworkers or slacking employees or making excuses for the landlord. And actually, it will demand of you to boss up and learn to delegate, as opposed to taking on all of the work yourself or just dealing with the inadequate landlord. The retrograde effect here, when it comes to your professional relationships, with Mercury retrograde at the start, expect old workplace miscommunications or past colleagues to resurface, and use this time to renegotiate your daily responsibilities with these individuals. The December climax. By December, an unstable work dynamic will break. If a colleague or client has been draining you of your energy and you did not take the time between July and December to address it, you will either reach a compromise because you're forced to do it in December, or you will cut ties with the individual, possibly the workplace, to protect your mental health. And it's just something instinctually that you will do. In respect to your platonic relationships with your friends and your family members, you're going to shift from looking at them as a concept to a closer bond. So you thrive on broad social networks, but this Cancer cycle demands emotional intimacy. So the cycle asks for you to show love through action. True friendship during the next 5 to 6 months looks like running errands for a sick friend, helping a buddy move, or cooking them a meal. While the North Node enters your sign on July 26th, you will naturally start shedding superficial friendships, and you will crave ride or die type of people in your life, those who respect your daily boundaries. You might feel less available for large group hangouts, and instead you will find more value in intimate one-on-one catch-ups over coffee, tea, or a beer or a glass of wine. In respect to your romantic relationships, the mechanics of domestic bliss are something that you need to focus on. So because the 6th house deals with machinery of life, romance during this cycle is less about candlelit dinners and more about how you operate as a team together. If you live with a partner, this cycle will highlight any imbalances in household chores, emotional labor, and daily schedules, especially if you're the one doing the heavy lifting. July is a critical time to look back at reoccurring arguments about the little things in your relationship, like who does the dishes or who pays the bills or who's always making the dinner reservations, and instead build a better system and how the two of you can move forward together. The full moon in December will reveal whether your relationship reduces your daily stress or adds to it or creates some. So couples who support each other's wellness will deepen their bond, and those trapped in codependent, stressful loops will face a reality check, and those relationships will most likely come to an end in the early stage of 2027. So the summary of your relationship impacts professional, high risk of burnout from people pleasing, and it requires a strict boundary setting with coworkers, clients, employees, etc. For your platonic connections, you're going to shift from large groups dynamics to low-key, practical, supportive friendships. And in respect to romance, whether you're single or partnered, you're going to focus on a daily routine and look to either take your current relationship where we are sharing domestic duties, whether you live together or not, or you will be seeking a partner who wants to share in the domestic duties. And this is going to ensure that either your current relationship or a new one that you bring into your life at the end of the day supports your mental health. Because if you're doing the bulk of the work, that's not supporting your mental health at all. So with all of that now, let's get into the cards. I'm going to scroll back up here to my notes in case we need to refer to them. So this is for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus placements. What else do they need to know for the second half of 2026? What else do they need to know for the second half of 2026? One more shuffle here. Thank you. We have Moon Maiden, New Beginnings, card number 41. Detox, Repairing the Body, Mind, and Spirit. Can't make it up. Card number 39. Crown Games, Right Use of Power. Card number 8. Literally everything that we talked about. Unbelievable. And at the bottom of the deck, you have Mindful, Groupthink. Card number 40. All right. This will be an interesting read here for you. Let's clarify this further now for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus placements. We are clarifying card number 41, Moon Maiden, New Beginnings. Card number 39, Detox, Repairing the Body, Mind, and Spirit. And card number 8, Crown Games, The Right Use of Power, for the second half of 2026. One more shuffle. Thank you. We have the Two of Cups, the Knight of Swords, the Page of Swords, the Page of Cups, the Nine of Swords, and the Moon. Underlying energy, the World, the Fool. Wow, pretty unique to get that combination. And the Knight of Pentacles. So whether you realize it or not, Six of Cups here at the bottom of the deck, Knight of Cups, Seven of Swords, and the Lovers. Whether you realize it or not, remember, it's a predictive reading. Over the course of the next 6 months, you will be ending the way you do connections, and you'll be doing them differently. Because there's some lesson here that you have learned or you're about to learn. And this goes for all of your connections. And the ones that cause you stress, Seven of Swords, it looks like you will be closing them out or radically changing them. Let's begin to clarify this. We're using the After Tarot deck. If you're not familiar with this deck, the images are slightly different. Four of Swords and the Two of Cups. Look at that. You are changing or healing the way you show up in connection. Okay, so if you're not familiar with this deck, the images are slightly different. It does alter or change the meaning of the cards, and we'll go through them as necessary in your reading today. This is for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus placements. We are clarifying Two of Cups, Knight of Swords, Page of Swords, Page of Cups, Nine of Swords, and the Moon for the Aquarius Collective for the second half of 2026. One more shuffle. Thank you. Two of Cups is clarified by Six of Cups. Knight of Swords, clarified by the Death card. The Page of Swords, clarified by the Four of Swords. The Page of Cups, clarified by Temperance. The Nine of Swords, clarified by the Queen of Wands. And the Moon is clarified by the Hermit. Bottom of the deck, underlying energy, Four of Cups, Page of Swords, Six of Wands. That leaves the Three of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, Nine of Swords here at the bottom of the deck. So obviously we'll clarify this more. But if we're looking at new beginnings in regards to partnerships in your life, regardless of who they are, professional, platonic, or romantic, there is something here about finding balance. Temperance is all about balance, alchemizing a connection. So there's an equal give and take, and you don't feel like you're being taken advantage of. So there is a new way to do relationships here. Repairing the body, mind, and spirit. You've been on the go, doing things for other people, taking on the emotional or mental labor of connections. That's coming to an end. It's coming to an end. And if you've seen my readings before, welcome back. If you're new, howdy. Please click like, share, comment, subscribe. But for me, queens exist in the present. They process the present and they process the past. And kings take action. And so I have you here in Queen of Wands with that Knight of Swords. Like, I'm always on the go, go, go. And I do this, this, and this for people. And it is starting to affect my health. And it probably has for a long time. But this period of introspection is going to make you realize how much it has impacted your health. Maybe you've put on weight. Maybe you have high blood pressure. This is not a medical diagnosis. Please talk to your medical team or your doctor or your physician. But this reading is clearly coming up because you have something or someone that causes you undue stress. And so, again, while you're reviewing these connections, you're realizing Nine of Swords, the ones where you overgive or people take advantage of you or they just expect you to do all of the weight pulling in the relationship. And they cause you a lot of stress and anxiety. So there is a need here for you to detox from showing up that way. And I do believe that's what you're doing. And so moving forward in that right use of power, I think what you're learning is I can delegate, Page of Swords, what it is that I need done. I don't have to take on all of the physical or emotional or financial or logical, work of this connection. I don't have to do everything for the team at work. I mean, if you're an employer, what is the point of having employees if you don't delegate to them? If you oversee a department, what is the point of overseeing the department if you take on all of the work of the department? If you're in a romantic partnership, what is the purpose of being in a romantic partnership if you have to do everything for your romantic partner? Even if this is a friend or a family member, if you have to do everything for this person, I mean, unless they're a complete invalid, what is the purpose of having that connection in your life if it is stressing you out and causing some serious health issues? So you will be learning that the right use of power is not you doing everything. The right use of power is you being able to use that brilliant mind and voice of yours to delegate a little bit better. And then the Hermit to the Moon card, there's a little bit here of you going within and acknowledging to yourself that maybe some of your connections in the past and maybe some present ones didn't quite work out was probably because you overgave. And when you overgave in those connections over a period of time, you knowingly or unknowingly became resentful of that person. And that may have been why there was friction at work, or friction in a romantic partnership, or friction with a child, or, your sibling, or something like that. So there's some introspection here to go, yeah, I was part of why that dynamic broke down, or why it is currently breaking down. So there is an end to how you do connection. Let's clarify this further now. We're going to clarify the Two of Cups. Clarify the Two of Cups here. One more shuffle. Thank you. Two of Cups is clarified by the Magician, the Ten of Cups, and the Two of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck, the Hangman. So I have a group of you here that it is your belief, okay, and maybe mine as an Aquarius rising, that we can achieve emotional contentment in a relationship when everything is balanced and going well, but we have to make sure it's our total responsibility to make sure it's even and going well. Like we literally take on all of the responsibility. And that's something here when you're reviewing a current connection in your life, or maybe some past connections in the Six of Cups card in the After Tarot deck. There's something here of saying, were those connections really balanced? Are your current connections really balanced? Or is it you keeping them balanced? Was it you in the past keeping them balanced? Six of Cups. Clarify that Six of Cups. So it's a good time to review also some failed connections in your life and be honest with yourself. Why did they fail? One more shuffle. Thank you. You may have built up a resentment for a partner and not even realize you did that. And then maybe over a period of time, you know, the relationship ended, or maybe they stepped out or you stepped out. But the underlying reason was resentment built. And resentment built because you from the get-go said, in order to make this work, that it ends up being the 10 of Cups that I've manifested and wanted, I have to keep everything balanced. I have to stay on top of everything. And that, again, might have created some resentment. And this could even be, if you're a parent, you might have resentment for a child. But again, you sort of started it. You started that framework when you said, I have to do everything for this kid. Now the kid's 40 years old and they don't know how to really function on their own. They're still relying on you. And same holds true if this is at work. So you have the Hangman. So again, this is you looking at these connections, the ones that failed, the ones that are currently wobbling here in your life or draining you of your energy. There's something here about being honest and taking a good look at them. Four of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles, which is what we have here, bottom of the deck, the Empress. So it's being honest with yourself that I didn't want to lose the connection, right? Nobody enters a connection, whether it's professional, platonic, or romantic, with the intention of losing the connection. But your method of holding on to the connection was to basically choke it out of existence. And the way that you did that was by taking everything on. Now, maybe you took on all of the financial work. Others of you took on all of the emotional labor. But you took on some aspect of the relationship. There was some aspect of a relationship here that was not 50-50 or was not calibrated to run evenly, like an ebb and flow between you and the other person. And so in an effort that I'm going to do this because this time I want this to work, actually ended up being some poison there to something that you were really trying to nurture. But you sort of aided in it coming to an end because, again, from the beginning, there was not an equal give and take. So I feel like you're prone to takers, and you're prone to takers because you really want connections to sort of have that happily ever after. But as a result, you probably draw in people that, I don't know if they knowingly know they're doing it, but they are takers by nature. And I think you have done connection like this for a long time, where you were naturally an overgiver. And again, at work, with your friends, maybe even your romantic partnerships. So as you do the review process here, that's basically the conclusion that I see you coming to. Page of Cups to Temperance. Clarify that Page of Cups. One more shuffle. Thank you. Page of Cups is clarified by Seven of Cups, the High Priestess, and the Five of Cups, bottom of the deck, the Hermit. So as you look back on these connections, professional, platonic, or romantic, that didn't quite work out, that introspection that you're doing here is actually giving you some insight. And the insight is, I overgave. And by overgiving, I drew in people who were overtakers. And maybe, again, like I said, maybe this person, I'm not calling them a narcissist if you're a cross watcher watching, but people get very comfortable in relationships. And I know, having a lot of friendships over the years, the ones that started off in the beginning as being balanced, and I made sure that they, you know, were balanced, and I was holding the other person accountable. Those are the friendships I still have in my life today. But the ones that I started making excuses for them early on, and I became the overgiver, and I took on the emotional workload of the relationship, like I would remember their birthday and they wouldn't remember mine, or I would have to remind them of my birthday. I should never have to remind a friend of 5 years of my birthday, or of 10 years. So, but I took on the emotional labor, and in order to, Four of Pentacles, hold on to that relationship, what I really did was prolong an ending. Because had I forced it through having healthy boundaries to be balanced, I would have known immediately this is not a balanced friendship, and I would have walked away from it, or it would have faded out of my life. So I think in the past, you've stayed in connections longer than you should have because you did something more than the other person. Like you took on more of the responsibility. So this time period is meant for you to go back and reflect on those. And if you have these imbalanced connections in your life now, it's important for you to see, how am I overdoing it? Because if you stop doing if it's an imbalanced connection and you stop being the overgiver or the overprovider or the overdoer, that connection is going to crash and burn immediately. So I think a lot of you held on to connections longer because you didn't want it to crash and burn. And you may have a connection in your life right now that you're doing the same thing with. And again, this could be at work. I don't want this department to fail, so I have to do all the work. I don't want my company to fail, so I have to do all of the work. Well, what's the point of having employees then? So the employees or the partners or the friends or the siblings, whoever, your children, whoever this person or other people are, they start to rely on you to do the bulk of the work. So they get lazier and lazier and lazier, and your resentment grows deeper and deeper and deeper. Temperance. So there's a need here for you moving forward with existing connections and the ones moving forward to find balance. One more shuffle. Thank you. Clarified by the Two of Pentacles. It's a different type of balance. Queen of Swords. Again, existing in the present, processing the past, and the Wheel of Fortune. And the bottom of the deck, we have the Magician to the King of Swords. So Queens process the present, the past, and Kings take action. So there's something here when if you're manifesting for a current connection to get stronger or healthier, or you're manifesting a new connection to come in, and again, professional, platonic, or romantic, you'll be manifesting the connection differently. It's not, this connection has to succeed at all cost, even if it means all cost is at my cost. This is, the relationship has to succeed because the people involved all need to be participating at the same ebb and flow level. So you have an opportunity to move forward doing connection differently in a more balanced way than you did in the past. And again, some connections will make it and some won't. But that is far better for your health than for you to continue to take on the, all of the work of a relationship. Like that is not healthy for you. Knight of Swords. Clarify the Knight of Swords. One more shuffle. Thank you. Knight of Swords is clarified by 10 of Pentacles, the 5 of Wands, and the King of Swords. There you are. Bottom of the deck, 8 of Pentacles. So I do believe that you will be communicating in that Knight of Swords, King of Swords, in your power, again, taking action, communicating to these individuals that the way the connection has been occurring between you and them needs to change moving forward, because it's not good for you, for your mental health or your physical health, or maybe both, maybe financial health, to continue operating the way you have been operating. So either the connection changes or the connection ends. But I do see you here over the course of the next 6 months addressing these types of issues with people in your life. And it's not that you're demanding reciprocity. You're basically saying from this day forward, I need reciprocity. The Death card. Clarify the Death card. Some connections will transform. Some people will say, oh my God, you know what? You're right. I got so used to you doing the dishes every night after dinner. I never stopped to think that maybe you needed a break. You might have employees or coworkers that go, oh my God, I got so used to you working 70 hours a week that I never asked if you needed help, or maybe I should take on that project. So there is something here. Some people will realize that, wow, you really have been doing more than your share of the connection. And others will see it, but not want to do their share, and that's okay. Those connections then will fall away. One more shuffle. Thank you. Death card is clarified by the Tower. The 8 of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck, the 5 of Pentacles, which is coming out from being out in the cold. So there is something here. Some connections will radically transform as you know, after you have this conversation, and some will radically fall out of your life. But at the end of the day, you have to do what is best for your health. The Queen of Pentacles nurtures themselves. So you are learning here that the best way for you to nurture yourself is to speak your truth. And again, the person or people on the other end, they're either going to say, you're right, Aquarius, I really need to step up, or they're going to leave your life. 9 of Swords. Clarify the 9 of Swords. One more shuffle. Thank you. 9 of Swords is clarified by 2 of Wands Ace of Swords, and the Two of Swords, bottom of the deck, the Hierophant. So these people mean something to you. The Hierophant, these are people that work for you or work with you. This is a romantic partner or a spouse. This is maybe the community group that you're part of, or political organization or religious organization. So whoever this person or these people are, they mean something to you. They're a staple in your life, which is probably why you were an overgiver with them to begin with. So I can see the apprehension here and the anxiety or nervousness, because once I make the decision and the Two of Wands to speak my truth and the Ace of Swords, Two of Swords, I don't know what's going to happen to the connection. I don't know if they step up or they fall away. So it seems to be a concern here of yours about that. Queen of Wands, clarify the Queen of Wands. One more shuffle. Thank you. Queen of Wands is clarified by the Lovers, the Knight of Wands, and the Ten of Wands. Bottom of the deck, the Page of Pentacles. Well, I think you're going to be surprised, because you have at least one person here that acknowledges that you have been taking on the financial or emotional or physical labor of the connection. So maybe not everyone will agree, or maybe not everyone will agree but not step up, but you have at least one person here who's like, you're right, you have been doing too much a blank, and I have not been doing my share here. So you have at least one person here that will take action to relieve the financial or emotional or physical burden that you've been carrying by keeping the department or keeping the friendship or keeping the romantic partnership afloat. Yeah, you have one person here that understands what you're saying, Ace of Wands, and they are willing to step up here. Page of Swords. Clarify that Page of Swords. So I think what you're learning here is the ability to delegate better. One more shuffle. Thank you. And this will, and I think in one of those, I think it was in the platonic connections, that I said you're craving ride or die people in your life. So anyone who was superficial or taking advantage of you, those connections probably will end up falling out of your life. And again, that's okay, because if the only reason why you were able to hold on to it is because that person required you to do all of the lifting in some area of that connection, that wasn't healthy for you. It's clearly affecting your health. So you are learning the art of delegation here. And as a result, you're going to be creating a tighter circle of people in your life. One more shuffle. Thank you. Page of Swords is clarified by the Queen of Wands. There you are again. The Ten of Wands and the Ten of Swords. And bottom of that, Queen of Pentacles. So once you do this, at least one person steps up. Yeah, it could be more for some of you, but at least one person steps up, and at least one person does not. So it could be the employee, or the employee that quits, or the coworker who goes to the boss and says, I quit here. Because I just spoke to Aquarius, and, they were working every Saturday for me. And now they said, it's not my responsibility to work every Saturday for you. I can help you out once in a while, but I'm not going to do it every damn Saturday. And, well, I'm not going to work Saturday, even though I agreed to work Saturday. I'm not going to do it, so I'm out. I quit. It's a romantic partner that's like, I'm sorry, you want me to start doing the dishes? Yeah, I want you to start. I can't do the dishes every night. I can't do all the loads of clothes in the house every night. I can't plan all the dates. I can't pay for all the bills. You were doing something here in excess. So you have at least one person here, professional, platonic, or romantic connection, that says, I'm out. I can't do that. And you have at least one person who says, yeah, I've been taking advantage without realizing I was taking advantage of you, and I'm going to step up. But again, you're now creating a better circle of people around you, people that don't take advantage of you. One more shuffle. Thank you. People that you don't have to compromise a part of yourself for just to hold on to them. The Sun, the King of Swords, there you are, and the Magician. Bottom of the deck, Page of Pentacles. So by you speaking your truth, the Magician is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules communication. By you speaking your truth and these new rules, if you will, for connection, some people will fall away, and some people will actually step up But the exercise of the purpose for you to do this is because your life is going to drastically change now that the node is moving into your sign. So this 6-month exercise now puts you on path for the remainder of the year that the node will be in your sign. And that's going to radically change now your life, because now you have people who should be in your life, not people that you're holding on to out of fear of losing them. And so you have to overgive to them. So this changes the game for you moving into 2027 and beyond. The moon, clarify the moon. So you're cultivating a better group or a better class of people in your life. And that is the right use of power. The wrong use of power is when you thought you had to do everything to keep those people. One more shuffle. Thank you. The moon is clarified by the Ace of Pentacles. Everything I said is the truth. 4 of Cups and Justice. Bottom of the deck, King of Cups. Yeah, there's at least one person here who does not like the new rules of engagement, if you will. The Hermit. One more shuffle. Thank you. The Hermit is clarified by the Ace of Cups, the Hierophant, and the 7 of Swords. Bottom of the deck, the 4 of Wands. Because you're doing this, I'm not going to say you'll never, but I don't see you engaging with that type of person or people moving forward. Because the way you treat the Hierophant, remember we saw that at the bottom of the deck, moving forward, look at that 7 of Swords. Not falling for that again. So as new people now enter your life, you're never going to be the people-pleasing Aquarius that you are. You are looking for balance. Whether you work for them or you're married to them or, again, their family, moving forward, you're going to make sure that you never do that again. Because what happens when these leeches, if you will, right? These energetic drains or financial drains or whatever, and time drains, once those types of people leave your life and other people step up and new people come on and you're, using that right use of power and you're delegating, and your health is going to improve, your stress levels are going to go down. So moving forward for the rest of your life, when you're engaging with new people, you're never going to repeat that mistake again. So the way you do connection will be entirely different. But it all begins by you utilizing the next 3 or 4 weeks of July, and maybe even going into August, because post-shadow of Mercury retrograde will take us to August 6th. So between now and August 6th, you reviewing those past connections that failed and the current connections that are on the brink of failing, and you being honest with yourself that those connections, the reason why that you stayed in them as long as you did was because you were trying to hold it all together by doing the brunt of the work. Now that you see what life can be like when you're not doing that, yeah, moving forward, you're never going to do that again. But it all begins by you analyzing and reevaluating those connections. And like I said, maybe any trouble dynamics that you currently have in your life. Let's close out with a Moonology card and some Oracle cards. And then I need to close the windows because my allergies are getting to me. So if I sound a little stuffed up, I apologize. I should have never opened the windows before. Let's get a Moonology card here, please, for Aquarius for the remainder of 2026. One more shuffle here. Thank you. We have meditate and contemplate. New moon in Pisces. Well, that node is moving out of Pisces into you. So isn't that something? So yeah, meditate and contemplate over these types of connections. And at the bottom of the deck, the end of a tough cycle approaches. Full moon in Capricorn. Very interesting. We just had a full moon in Capricorn. So it's possible for some of you, you have already started thinking about these connections or current connections. You may have already started feeling the health effects or the physical effects. It's possible for some of you, you have a connection that is closing out right now, like you're in the middle of it closing out. But again, utilize this time to look at those failed connections, even the ones that are currently closing out, and be honest with yourself. They probably would have closed out a long time ago had you not shown up in your beautiful, I could do it all energy. I think you had some people there knowingly take advantage of you, and some people who just got really comfortable by you doing it all and unknowingly took advantage of you. But moving forward, there's a different type of connection that you'll be craving. And so it's not that you'll be on guard moving forward, but you're just going to be very mindful, right? Mindful, groupthink, that when it comes to connections in the future, you're not going to be an overgiver. And you don't have to be the overachiever at work and do everyone's job. So I like this for you a lot. So it is a new beginning when it comes to how you do connection. 3 oracle cards here, please, for the Aquarius collective. One more shuffle. Thank you. And we have awakening. Realize your growth and changes and embrace your new awakening. So you are transforming here. Healing. Heal by confronting and addressing past wounds. Again, looking at those connections or maybe current ones where there's heartache or loss, separation, something like that. Be honest with yourself that, again, they stayed in your life longer than they should have. And then balance. That's exactly what you need in your connections moving forward. Achieve harmony within yourself, creating stability in all areas and connections of your life. Very nice reading here for you, Aquarius. At the bottom of the deck, inspiration. Gain insights and wisdom from life. So looking at those connections will give you the wisdom you need to form and cultivate healthier connections, more balanced connections moving forward. Well, that is what I have for you for the second half of 2026. If you like those messages, they resonated with you, you want to claim all or part of them, please be sure to click like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hype the video if you're able to do that on your mobile device. Also, between now and December, I'll be doing some micro reads for all 12 signs, like sort of like follow-up readings, because as we begin to shift and change, the energies around us will shift and change as well. And I'll be posting those updates on Patreon. So if any time between now and December you can join us over there, that will be fantastic. Information on how to do that will be in the description box below. But if for some chance you can't do it, you don't have time, maybe you don't have the money, that's completely understandable. Just know that Spirit already knew that and gave you everything that you need to navigate the second half of 2026. And so I'll read for you again. I am wishing you light, love, and peace.